Mark, Vilma, Abraham, Barbara, and Janet. And the question is, for a number of years, the Recreation and Parks Department has been working on plans to revitalize the 2 yacht harbors on the northern shore of the city, a project which has been supported and opposed at various times by many of the groups here. Although tentatively approved, the project is contentious and costly and is likely to run into additional opposition. How would you resolve the concerns about the project? Would you propose changes in the processes of oversight used by Rec and Park Department to manage projects throughout the city? Did you understand that part of the question? Let me just finish that. I'm sorry, my eyes are very bad. How would you resolve the concerns about the expansion of the yacht harbor and the fiscal oversight of the project? Would you propose changes in the processes or oversight used by Rec and Park Department to manage projects throughout the city? And we'll start with Kat, please.
Okay, first of all, I want to say that there are several experts on this on my Marina Community Association board, so I definitely want to defer to them, but I'll take a stab at this. The West Harbor renovation project, which last I think I heard was about a $16 million project, went through quite an extensive and contentious planning project, and it was agreed upon that there would be a 150-foot concrete jetty that would be perpendicular off the St. Francis Spit, and everyone was upset, so it must have been a good plan because, compromises abounded. Now it looks like in the last few months that Park and Rec is floating out the idea of a 300-foot floating barrier that will jet out over 100 feet from the jetty, and boats will be slipped there as well, and it will disrupt the views from the bay, something that the city says that it's going to protect. And there wasn't very much public comment on this. It was a surprise. And now it looks like that we have good grounds to fight it, but we might have to hire lawyers in order to fight it. And this is something that City Hall often does to neighbors. It'll take a stand that isn't right. And the thing that's really alarming about this is they're floating out a proposal that was specifically rejected. So there has been a lack of oversight here, and I think it's because they don't bring the stakeholders in. So what you need to do, again, is you bring the neighborhood associations in. You bring out the local residents, and you have to bring, of course, the boat owners to the table as well. Now, I suspect what may be going on here is looking forward to the races and Larry Ellison, and I'm sorry, the cup name just flew out of my head. Thank you, the America's Cup. I think that they might be looking ahead to that and looking at ways to generate more revenue, so more slips and things like that. And we have to be careful that not to let them game us. So everybody, write to your supervisors about this and keep an eye out.
Thank you, Kat. Mark, please.
Yeah, I think the focus here on the West Harbor, the jetty that was proposed originally and had gone through the EIR process, I think the thing that caught the community off guard was how much that had changed when it finally went through for approval. And I think that the community, thank goodness, for a lot of people on the MCA board were very vigilant about this and stood up for the community's rights here. And I applaud them for that, and I think it's great. And I know it is back in the planning process to make sure that it's going to be more akin to what it was before in terms of the project size and scope. I do agree with Kat that what this talks about and what this means is just like King Edward II, is more community involvement, more engagement with the stakeholders here locally within District 2. And that includes local residents in the marina that are going to look out on that, especially those residents on Marina Boulevard, the different boat owners, and people who use the harbor. I think it is a big deal, but I think where it is right now is where it should be. But it was only because of the vigilance of people within our community here in District 2 and specifically on the MCA board. And I think that outcome right now, where it is where it should be. The only thing I'll just mention, you talked about Rec and Park. We are very fortunate to have a number of incredible parks here in District 2 and open space. I will say that the one thing that I would like to encourage as supervisor here in District 2 is continued development of public-private partnerships here in District 2. When we engage the community around our local parks, whether it was at Alta Plaza or the Presidio Heights Playground that was just opened due to a lot of effort from a number of people in the Presidio Heights area. That is where we gain community here in San Francisco and where we will gain continued better parks and open access. I think as a supervisor, I will do everything I can to continue to promote that. I think it is a big deal. It has worked before in District 2, and I will continue to promote that here.
Thank you, Mark. Vilma?
Our parks are the most beautiful in District 2, and we have a lot of them to enjoy. My grandchildren, when they come and visit me, especially the younger ones, the little ones, they say, "Grandma, you really like it here." I said, "I've lived here all my life, and you'll get to enjoy it if you decide you want to live in San Francisco." Anyway, our parks need a little bit more maintenance than what they have been in the past few years. We had a case wherein the dogs, the pets, they let them roam around without leashes, and the people that owns them, they just, on Jackson Street, there's a house in there that says, "Please don't pee and do your business on my backyard, on my yard." And they don't clean up after their mess. They just walk their dogs, and there's this person that a dog walker. He has about 6 or 7 dogs every night, and it scares the heck out of the other people because, especially I'm in a neighborhood wherein there are a lot of older folks. You see, District 2 has the most number of people over the age of 40, not meaning to discredit the others. But our Parks Department needs to be a little bit more, like I've said in the past few minutes, pay attention to our neighborhood. The children that place the park in the Marina District, they need to be attended properly and more in attention to what they're doing.
Thank you,
And
Vilma.
to this day, I'd like to see that they will be able to enjoy the parks like we did in my childhood. Thank you.
And thank you, Vilma. Abraham, please.
Thank you. I have to say that as a member of the GOBOC, watching over the last couple of years, I have seen the GOBOC, that was the General Obligation Bond Oversight Committee. I have seen Reckin Park administer hundreds of millions of dollars in a number of different projects throughout town. I've got to tell you, my confidence is shaken. I don't have the confidence that we can let this one go through the regular procedures and just watch it go. I don't think that's wise. I think that the marina community was very wise to watch very closely. I'm not just talking about really the things you see in the paper about people sleeping in the parks and that sort of thing. I'm talking about what it takes to get a Gantt chart so that we can see which projects are on time and which ones are on budget. At the end of the day, we do have two separate sorts of interests. We have harbor users, we have marina residents, and what's important when you have people with two different sets of interests is what? Notice, an opportunity to be heard, and a decision in a reasonable amount of time. San Francisco's not that great at that. We should be better at that. Notice, an opportunity to be heard, a decision to be made. I think the rest of what I've heard is exactly right. You bring in all the stakeholders so that that is a procedure we can all trust. And someone's not going to be happy at the end of the day, but an opportunity to be heard is what's important there.
Thank you. Barbara?
Well, going into this, I was kind of short on just knowing what a lot of the nautical terms were, so I did a whole bunch of research. And here's what I came up with. We have an East Harbor and a West Harbor, and there's a West Harbor renovation project, and the Board of Supervisors has already passed this thing, and therefore it is going to happen. I came into contact with Mary Hobson with Recreation and Park, and she tells me that this is a $25 million project, not a $16 million project, and that of that $25 million, we already have 1.4 of it, and the rest of it we're going to have to borrow at 4.5% interest over 30 years. I said, well, hey, how are we going to pay all this money back? And she says, well, we're going to raise fees on the slips. I go, what's a slip? She said, that's the place where you park a boat. And I said, well, how much are they going up? And she said, we'll have to get back to you on that. I know there's a number here someplace. And she came back and she said the fees to park those vessels, boats, in the slips is going to go up 37%. Ouch. Well, that's what it is. That's the deal. So what do you get for your 37% rent increase on your slip? Well, you get a brand new dock, you get electrical, you get fire, you get a really nice guy, Mr. Larry White. He's a harbor master there. I talked to him. I've never met a man that felt more like the ocean. He's just so appropriate for a child. You just get this feel like you're almost talking to the water. And talking to Miss Mary Hobson, she's a person of goodwill. She wants to do whatever it is that you want for your 37% rent increase. So she's got a request for qualifications that she sent out in January right here. I got a copy of it. I read through it, read everything of it. And she has 4 people that she feels are qualified to do the work. And those 4 people are going to present proposals to her. It's in the process. And they're going to present different proposals with different materials and different ways of going about doing whatever it is she wants to do. So if you have a preference, let me know. And we'll take a pool and see if you can get you what you want for your 30% rent increase. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barbara. And finally, Janet.
Well, I think it's all been said, but I think that this harbor renovation program really speaks to a larger issue, which is the neglect that we have allowed to happen of our infrastructure. We did just pass a 10-year capital plan for infrastructure in San Francisco at the Board of Supervisors, and that is an excellent thing. But what happened, I believe that this $25 million, maybe it started out as $16 million, is a loan from the Boat and Waterways, I think, department, which is a department of the state of California. That money was supposed to go to the renovation of the West Harbor and the East Harbor. That is now just enough money to go to the West Harbor. And so as we continue to wait and we don't do anything, these infrastructure projects, they just get more and more expensive. So we need to be decisive, and having a plan and a priority of what infrastructure projects must be done in what order is really is an excellent idea. I have to say I'm also incredibly disappointed that in this harbor renovation project, we are not renovating or seismically upgrading the seawalls. Those seawalls in an earthquake will fall down, and they could hurt people. And so I would love to see us find more money, not just from increasing the rates of the slips. I don't know where we're going to get this money, but I think it's imperative that we replace and seismically upgrade the seawalls. But there's no money to do it in this current project. And so as a supervisor, I would advocate for that.
Thank you very much. The next question.